I started recording. This is our, can you see the slide, all of you? You can see the slide, right?
Yes, please.
Chapter 2, the objectives are understanding the strain, normal and shear strain. I go for normal first and then shear strain we'll do later. Apply the concept to determine the strains for values of various types of problems. Okay, these are the things we are going to attend today. I keep saying strain, it's a deformation, right? Whenever a member, it may be a beam, column, or any type of material, you subject it to loading, it will undergo deformation. What type of deformation? Accordingly, you will have the kind of failure, kind of design. Whenever a force is applied to a body, it will tend to change the body's shape and size. If the shape is changed, what type of failure it is? Shape. Any idea? Shape, volume, in other words, volume. The volume is changed. What type of change it is? There are three different types we have studied, right? Tensile, shear, and compressive, right? Or you don't remember? No. Longitudinal, right? Please remember the slides I teach you every class. I cannot repeat. We studied some kind of stress calculations. In stress calculation, you had what do you call? I remember I showed this slide to you. One moment. You cannot go back and every time I give you the information, you have to remember quickly what happened last class. Okay, this is coming up. Three types of classification we did, isn't it? What types of stresses? Under the type of stresses. Under type of stresses, every time you remember this, these are the three types of, I better copy the slide again so that you remember. Being a designer, all these things are mainly for designing. Later on you will go for designing that particular member based on its deformation. In that case, you should always remember the type of deformation. When a design is coming to you, asking Tanteng, design this culvert, Adela Gamal, design this swimming pool. So many days it has failed by design by certain company, right? Or it is not performing well. Renovate it, demolish and reconstruct it strongly so that the set objective is the design is stronger and longer in life. Okay. In that case, you have to know what type of loading, what type of failure it will undergo. Do you understand the meaning of stress? Stress is a internal force created by the force over area created by the material or borne by the material due to the material's property, which is called inertia. If the material surface is very large, it can distribute evenly. If the material surface is low small for a given area, given load, it will be very strong. The point of consideration will be very heavy. So the area determines how evenly it is distributed or how strong the value is, how tough it is to be designed, right? Come on. Due to the stress development inside the body for the given loading, it will tend to produce it in longitudinal direction or tangential direction or bulk. This is called bulk or hydraulic volume change or shape change. All these things will happen here. Here also some kind of shape change from rectangular to rhombus or kind of a parallelogram or other type. And this one longitudinal. See, longitudinal means just change in length or change in reduce in length, right? Longitudinal stress, right? And this longitudinal same change in length reduction or elongation will be by tensile. Tensile normally elongation. Compression will be reduction in length. When there is a reduction in length, consequently, it may be a breaking or it may be a yielding or it may be a elastic or all types we are going to study today. I repeat once again, the failure may be a longitudinal or tangential. This is most important for solid mechanics and this part is for fluid mechanics. Under failure theory, you have longitudinal failure and failure in the sense it has to bear the load. If cannot bear, the strength is low compared to the working stress or coming design stress, it will tend to fail. How does it fail? In a longitudinal direction, in a length or width or depth direction. That might be increasing is tensile, decreasing is compression, and then tangential over the layer. That's it. Okay, I hope you understand now. These changes are referred to as deformation. It can be tangential or longitudinal, all or deformation. Having understood, engineer Kankanala can design the best section, best material, choose the best material and the best connectivity. Then she is a successful engineer. They may be either highly visible or practically unnoticeable. Yeah, sometimes they will indicate by a crack, small crack. Sometimes it will be sudden. Sometimes it is gradual. Let us see how the material behave. We're going to understand our hero, which is our material. It may be wood, plastic, polythene, fiber, polymer, concrete, slate, tiles, brick, any material that used for construction. Today I mostly do with ductile material. If I have time, I go for a brittle material. Can you give me some examples of ductile material? Quickly, la. Can be wrong, don't worry. It's not that you have to give correct answer always. This is class, not testing. Give me examples of ductile material. Is attendance. Example of ductile material, please. What happened to Kosar and Ahmad Nabil? Are they attending any exam? Anybody knows? Okay, let it be. Ahmad Nabil. I think they can join any time. Example of ductile material?
Copper. Copper or silver?
Copper having, yeah, very good. And then?
Silver.
Okay, silver, okay. Somewhat silver, copper, mild steel, aluminum, all ductile material. Brittle material on the other hand, I don't take it now, but just to compare, quickly understand the meaning of ductile material, compare our partner, our enemy also, which is brittle will be concrete, wood, right? Glass, they will not indicate trust, break. At one point, suddenly break, right? They are not allowing for elasticity or plastic limit, suddenly break, isn't it? Due to a loading, right? And we will see, technically, we will see how they are going to behave for a given loading or over the period of time. We will observe so that we can clearly understand the deformation process. Come on, where is the slide? Okay, it's here. Not this one. Okay, I'm here. Right. Either highly visible, that's why the term written as highly visible or not visible. It is not always visible to us. That is why we have to, I don't know, where's my pointer? Missing pointer. I cannot see the pointer. What happened to PowerPoint? Okay, I use this one. I will explain in a diagrammatic way, easy for you to understand later on. Let me go give you some theory beginning. Strain is to describe the deformation of a body by changes in length of a line segment and changes in the angles between them, right? We will see first how they are changing. Originally, the deformation is in increasing the length. Towards the end of the process, it will change the angle and so the cross section, thus it fails. This is the behavior of the member. It may be in a length direction or at an angle. We will see one by one. Today I will see only about change in length. Strain in dimension is a dimensionless quantity. Okay, but made up of linear dimensions. Strain is a dimensional quantity or a number, okay, represented by a number. Can be a rate. I can say it's a rate rate of change of, always remember. If I know the rate of change of the gold material, right, gold price, I can fix whether I can have a market here, or I have to go to Iran, I have to go to Abu Dhabi or anywhere for mining, gold mining. If I want to start, I should know the rate, isn't it? Per day, per month, how is it increasing, how is it fluctuating? Like that, when you know the rate, you will understand the behavior better. It can be represented in percentage. It may be a percentage or number. If it is percentage, easy for us to understand, right? How much percentage? 50%, 20%, 100%, 150%. Then easy to understand. Let's see all these things. Mathematically, you can represent this way. Before I go into mathematically, I show the phenomenon first. Let me do this. Now answer me. What is the unit for strain? Just now I said, what is the unit for strain? What is the unit for strain?
mm.
Miss, is it mm per meter or what? Dimensionless. Okay.
No unit. Okay. Good, you make mistake. Now you change it. Strain is a dimensionless unit. Then I can understand you are not following what I say. Maybe I go slowly. I cannot go very slowly. Strain is a dimensionless quantity, no unit. It is a rate of change of two dimensions, change in dimension to original dimension. I will write in equations later, but for now understand, memorize, strain is a dimensionless unit. Once I give the equation, you don't have to memorize, you can get into your mind what it is. Strain is a dimensionless quantity, or it just says the rate of change of the variation or deformation. It can be either represented by a percentage or number. That is why each and every word said in the class is important. So D is the correct answer. What is the unit of strain? D. No unit. Number. Let's see. Okay, I will write some values so that you can understand, then we'll go for calculation. Give me a minute. Use my tablet mode. Easy for me to explain. Okay, let me give an introduction. So we are talking about material property, right? How the material behaves. We're going to see some of the properties of the material. How are they behaving? How they responses. Few properties of the materials are going to be taught today. Can you list down any properties of material as far as you know or you studied in dynamics? What are the general properties of materials? It should be strong, right? Should be strong, tough. The toughness should be strong enough, and then it should be the resilience. Have you heard about the word resilience? Resilience should be good. Resilience means the capacity with which it can retain the originality, right? Originality, or get back to the original shape even if it is loaded. Once you remove the load, it should get back to the original position. Resilience should be there. Toughness should be there. High strength should be there. The point of breaking should be very high. These are all the expected qualities of a material that you are choosing. Okay, let me start with the blank sheet. You can see the screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Let me open a blank sheet. Set it to. Okay. This is convenient for me to explain. Start with which material we can take? Mild steel, aluminum. Which one you can take? Let's take the mild steel. Okay. I'm going to give you the explanation on how the stress strain behavior is. Stress. All of you know what is stress, right? Sometimes I use the word as strength. Strength and stress are same. Please keep in mind. It is the colloquial term, I can say. strength of the material, but the strength of material is equal and opposite to the stress developed inside the body. STRENGTH, strength, sorry, stress strain curve, right? Remember this meaning, then only you can appreciate your learning. Stress strain curve, good explain. Sometimes if I use strength, it is referring to the material's property, how it is distributing its stress for the given loading. Okay, for this I can, what do you mean by this one? Stress is, today I say this is proportion to strain. This is already explained by gentleman called Hooke's law. We call this as Hooke's law. Hooke's law states that Hooke's law states that stress is proportional to strain. What does it mean? As long as stress is increasing, strain should be increasing. And in proportion, if it is 5%, it should also be 5% increase. Starting number may be anything. Okay, XY graph, if I take starting number may be anything. And then if it is reducing by 10%, 2%, this should also be reducing in 2%, right? So the proportionality should be maintained, right? This is what Hooke's law says. Okay, they are in proportion. When they are in proportion, then Hooke's law is valid. What if they are not in proportion? It is not in proportion for all material and not for all types of loading for the given material. This is the problem today. That's why you need to analyze it. What is the relationship between stress and strain? For this, I can take the very well known tensile stress. Okay, tensile stress test. Okay, you can also call it strength or test. Tensile stress test or strength. Better I use strength. Tensile strength. I'm checking a tensile strength of a material. How much is the tensile strength of the material? Right? When I take this kind of a testing, easy for me to understand and explain how the propagation is, and then what are the different areas that one can get in a testing. Right? We are going to study experimentally how this stress strain is related. Okay. For this, I take the mild steel. I take this component. Okay. I take the mild steel. Let's take a rectangular body. Okay. Rectangular body like this. Okay. Mild steel. Assume that it is supported at the top like this. It is supported like this. Okay. Okay. And then the support is like this. Fixed support. Say this is a fixed support. Fixed here. What happened? Fixed support. Now, this is a member. When it is subjected to loading, imagine it is acting like a frame for measuring, right? Measuring unit. It can be a frame of a crane. It has to be loaded at the down, right? At this point, it has to be loaded or pulled for a load of say F. Okay. If it, and the length of this one is, assume this length is L. Okay. The length is L. Original length is L. When you start pulling, what will happen? Start pulling, what will happen? What will happen?
Deformation.
Deformation takes place. That will be like this, right? It will tend to move like this. I put it in a different diagram, easy for me to explain. Deformation takes place. Same sketch if I do it, I copy and paste. I need to learn. Okay, I put it for now. I just do it here. A random one. Okay, the same one. The second after deformation, it will look like this, isn't it? The length will be extended to some level, not in the original level, and it will be subjected to keep loading. Because why it is getting extended? Due to the internal force. When the load is acting in this direction, when the load is acting in this direction, it will automatically, the member will tend to Can you hear me? Just hold on for a while. My computer is restarting. Can you hear me? So due to this deformation, it will change in the length. Am I right? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the original length? Original length is the length of the member, which is L. After loading, it will change to L plus, say, delta L. I will draw it in a while. I'll just continue with this one. So you will have a difference in length due to the loading. Now, if we write the strain value, it will be the ratio between change in length to the original length. If you treat the change in length as delta L, only the difference that the elongated portion, elongated or extended portion as delta L, strain is equal to delta L over original length, which is capital L. All right. This value is known as strain. Okay. This is important in measuring the failure of the member
Yes, we can see the slide.
in a gradual. Just one moment, I will give you the picture now. Let me give the explanation only. So the strain is defined as delta L over capital L. In a while, I will get the slide, don't worry. And then compared to stress, what is the ratio for the stress? How do you address the stress? F over A, right? So remember these equations and the parameters involved. Now we are going to draw the diagram between these two variables. How this change in deformation versus the given loading. The loading may be gradually applied or retrieved. Retrieve means what? Stop. You just remove all the loading. Initially apply, remove and see, and then keep increasing until it fails. So between the starting of the loading until it breaks, there are 4-5 characteristics that one can observe, especially for the mild steel, especially for the ductile materials. Okay, the case for brittle metal is different. Once you understand the behavior of these two, you can conveniently design and suit for the requirement of the situation and design. In doing so, let's analyze first with the I switch off the touchpad, then easy for me. All right. We are going to do the experimental results plot in a graph so that easy for us to understand. When you plot it, now you understand these two factors. What is stress and strain? Strain. I got my computer ready. Tell me. Parameters involved. Okay. Stress is force over area and the strain is the change in length to original length. I repeat once again, what is the unit for strain? Unit for strain?
No unit.
No unit. Very good. One moment, I'm opening the file. Where my file is not there. Doesn't matter. Let me draw it quickly for you. Insert. One moment, I am drawing the drawing. Maybe I can focus it for you. Desktop screen. Right. We started with loading this member and writing the corresponding response of the member by graphically. Right. Landscape. And I put in desktop. Okay. Let I draw it quickly. We were waiting for long. I move this pay member. Okay. So this is already supported here, right? Supported here, and due to this loading, right, it will tend to deform at the. Why is there is a echo? Any other mic is on? Did I mute the mic? Okay, now should be okay. Loading is too bad. Okay. Okay. So what will be the new length? It will be like this, and then the member, the same member, if you see, there is an elongation. So elongation may be somewhere here, right? The length like this, right? This is the original length. This is the original length, and this is the delta L. I keep it as delta L. Okay, change in length. Okay, this value is delta L, and this is original L. So I can define the strain as, let's write the strain. Strain is equal to one moment. Strain is equal to delta L over L. Stress is equal to F over A. What is F here? This part, isn't it? A is what? Remember the A, because we are going to discuss about area later on. This is the area of cross section. Okay, the surface at which it is acting, or cross section area through which it is acting, and the response is in this direction, opposite direction, right? Always the response will be in the opposite direction inside due to internal reactions created by the member, right? Let's draw it graphically so that it is easy for us. Maybe I open the grid view, grid lines, easy for us to understand. Okay, I start from here. Assume that there is a test happen between, I mean this test is going on. Let's plot this observation of this application of force and the corresponding deformation in a graphical manner. Insert line, only one line, I take it like this. Okay, I put it like this. Pardon me for taking time to draw everything. Okay, the second line I can draw it by horizontal line. Let's plot between these two values, which is stress running like this. Okay, all right. Can you all see the lines? This is the graph. I take this as x. I have enough space, I can even move here. No problem, I will do it one by one. Let's do the strain here at this point. I have given the strain value is delta over L. We can name this as E, okay? Or just the value. For now, I put it as strain E. Later, I explain about the modulus, everything later on. And this stress as sigma, right? This is the axial stress, so I use the notation sigma. Can you all see the slide? The drawing here? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. If not, please tell me immediately, because you have to go hover around this graph, then you can understand better, right? Okay. Start from here. Once you started loading, okay, you started loading, the value will start from here, right? I plot the strain which is the independent value. Always plot the independent value in x direction and the dependent value in the y direction. That is the norm of drawing graphs, okay? When future, if you are doing any of the testing, any of the things in as a new one, you follow this norm. Always do the dependent value in the x, y direction, independent value in the x direction. The distribution is studied nicely, okay? I mean the well represented. Okay, come on. Start with this. When you start loading, the response will be like this. Like this. The points will be like this. You can achieve the points like this, okay? That means what? Whenever there is a one step of increase in stress, there is a one step here. The unit may be different, don't worry about the unit, but it is also about the percentage only. This is in this one, this has no unit at all. The strain has no unit or ratio. It's a ratio or percentage. You can make it in any way, but understand the steps only, right? If this is in 2 kilonewton per meter square, this will be in 20%, just by block. That's why I brought this block here. If you understand by the block, if it jumps in one block, like this, okay? The step is very gradual in the beginning. That is what I'm trying to say here. The step, if you plot it, it will be gradual like this, okay? Almost a straight line behavior, okay? For some time, right? For some time, it is a very proportionate. If it crosses 2 blocks, this also crosses 2 blocks. For example, 5 blocks, 5 blocks. So to that extent, they are very proportionate behavior shown by the material mild steel. We have taken the mild steel. Remember that point, mild steel. So behavior is very proportionate between stress and the corresponding strain produced. All of you know what is strain, isn't it? The deformation, change in length to original length. It is very gradual, and one can understand in the beginning of loading. You started the test, you load the member. The apparatus I will explain later. It is called universal testing machine. That machine phenomenon, everything, I will put it in the animation later on. I hope you can imagine this, what is happening here. A load is applied to this member. It will elongate. It will reach a new length, which is extra delta L. So how this is happening? In the beginning, it will show a proper proportionate variation between the applied stress and the strain behavior. And all of a sudden, it will change the value. We up to this is we are seeing one behavior of the material. One moment. Attendance taken, right? One moment, I don't know that. All of you are here? Let me click the attendance first. Okay. What file? No. Wrong. What file? Okay. It will reach one point. Let's take this as point number 1 or A. Simple notation A. All right. So until this point is called as a elastic limit. Why I say elastic limit? When you remove the load, the material will tend to behave and it can return back to original shape. The thing is, originally it was of length delta L, right? I mean L. When you apply, it has extended to delta L, right? it has extended to delta L, right? Delta L plus delta L, isn't it? But once you remove the loading, the material will get back to the original length, which is L. This behavior of the member is called elastic behavior. Elastic behavior. You can see this line from O to A. From O to A, we can classify them as O. I put it as O, starting point. Elastic behavior or elastic property of the member is shown. After this, there are some variations shown by the member. It is very peculiar and very interesting to see the phenomenon. It will be a slightly an increase. You cannot see the, although I put it in a zoomed view, you cannot see exactly the length, but there is a slight hump until it reaches B. That means what? That means what? The value, so the value may be 10, 20, each block, I roughly put the number, not to scale, 20, 30, 40 kilonewtons, I mean the newtons per meter, 50, 60, like that it's going on. This side maybe percentage, 10 percentage, 20 percentage, 30 percentage, 40 percentage, like that. Let it be like that. I don't take the exact number, right? For your understanding, I'm giving you these numbers. Okay. Now, there is a hump at this point. What will happen here? This is still in I cannot say this is in proportion, but there is no vast changes in between, right? There is a small region. That means it is going to start yielding or start the plastic behavior of the member, and then proceed with moving on a little bit higher, reaching another limit, which is called ultimate strength, and finally it will fail. The failure I will show you in a while, so that we can go one by one also. Started from here is a hump, and then there is small peak rise, started peak rise, steep rise. I put it as a steep rise. From here is a small hump, almost like a constant one, and then there is another extension which is going to be lowering and then hike up, starting of the steep slope, and then reaching a bigger limit, drops down. Okay, let's analyze these points, how they are behaving and why it is so. This is the D, point D. I make it as a point D. One moment. This is point D and this is point E. Better bend down. I repeat once again, the process of loading will yield different behavior of the member, points A, point B, point C, point D and E. Today we are going to understand these points produced by the application of load F, right? Application of load F to this member and its response. Okay. First one we analyze, it is O to A. O to A is the elastic limit, meaning once you release the load, it will get back to the, once you release the load, if I show the animation, it will be interesting to you. But once you release the load, it will get back to the original shape, meaning what? It will retain. Like for example, balance. You load the member of 50 kg, it will indicate in the 50 kg. Once you take out the object that you are measuring, it will get back to original length, which is L. That is one thing. That's a behavior of mild steel. So you can use this mild steel for construction of your balance or weighing any heavy equipments. Right. That is there. This is what we understand from here. Start from here, A to B. A to B, kind of elastic, but I cannot say this is elastic. Although we classify, I put in different color. I don't know why we don't have different colors. Okay, better I put in this. This is also treated as almost a proportionate, but not exactly proportionate. Only up to this point is the Hooke's law is satisfied. Up to this point, slightly satisfied, but still it is in elastic limit, elastic behavior of the member. So I color this member, this area. This region is called elastic region or elastic resilience behavior of the member is shown. If you want to calculate how much is the resilience of this member, calculate the area under this curve. You will have how much is the resilience property of the member. Then moving on from B to C. Let's see what is happening from B to C. B to C is starting yielding. We can say it just started yielding at this point. Elastic limit is reached at this point. From B to C, elastic limit is broken. Yielding limit started, meaning was it is going to deform. It no longer showing elastic behavior. Plastic behavior of the member is started. So we can say B to C is the plastic behavior. I don't mark it right now, although it is saying plastic behavior. Okay. And then moving on, we can say from here, one moment. I just write down for classification. A to B, A to B, still an elastic limit, reaching the elastic limit. And B to C, plastic behavior or the behavior of the plastic is beyond B, we can beyond B or beyond up to C, plastic behavior. It will start deforming, okay, behavior started. It will start deforming, meaning light crack, or it will indicate it's going to break, or a kind of a small short shear will be happening. That is what happening here. And then it will start yielding in this point. C is the starting of the yielding, or upper limit of the yielding, or starting of yielding, upper or starting point of yielding. Okay, and then I think grid view, let it be there. After I finish the drawing, I remove the grid view. Started yielding means started cracking a little bit, not immediately breaking, little bit crack, or just a layer or fibers getting broken or separated, reaching up to D. D is the upper limit or ultimate strength of the member. I can say this as the yielding point, yield strength, tensile strength, or yield strength. Yield strength of the material, or yielding strength of the material. Okay, and at D, right, or C to D, it's a fully yielding behavior or deformation taking place, or a kind of a plastic behavior started. Okay, plastic behavior completely started, right? And then what is called, this is the upper limit, this is the lower limit or end of lower or limit of yielding strength or yielding point, meaning reached the ultimate strength already. It can bear the load until up to this point only. Remember our factor of safety all saying ultimate strength to allowable strength, or ultimate stress by allowable strength. So that strength, the total capacity or strength of the material is reached at D. D is the essential point to show whether the total strength is reached or not. Okay, so this is there. And then moving on from D to E, breaking is going to break. Fractural point, fracture started already. Ultimate strength is reached. The fracture starting or break starts from here to here. That's why I call this as ultimate or breaking or fracture point. The structure got fractured already. Fracture point. So these are the points we have to understand. Let me remove the grid line and show you how this is view. Okay, what's happening here? When you increase the load, the strain increases, right? There's a straight line, almost a straight line behavior shown. But all of a sudden there is no increase in load, right? There is no increase, assuming there is no increase in load, maybe a minor value, but the strain is getting increased. That means what? Elasticity stopped, plasticity is going to start, the deformation is going to start. It is indicating. Only mild steel or ductile materials will indicate, other materials, brittle material will not indicate. We will have a different type of graph for that. We will analyze that later. For now, I say here, there is no loading or almost a constant loading per unit area, still the strain is there, elongation is there, the deformation is there, right? Change in length is still happening. And then moving on, for the same load, for the maintaining the same load, almost the same load, a little bit increase, further strain increase, there is a strain. Strain means you understand, right? Change in length and the material get elongated. You cannot elongate for a long, at one point it will fracture, am I right? So you have to know which point it is going to fracture. In that, the next process will be, it is getting elongated for some more and then start yielding. Yielding means what? About to fracture, about to fracture, or the materials are getting apart. So C to D, it will still bear the load, but no breakage, no bending, still bear the load, reaching one point called D, ultimate strength. Okay, this is yield strength, ultimate strength. Ultimate strength is reached at this point, after which you cannot load anymore, and this is the point for which you will be designing. All the designs will follow this ultimate strength, ultimate capacity of the member, or flexural strength of the member, or strength, tensile strength of the member. After this you cannot load. See, there is no loading at all. After this there is no loading at all. Even without any loading, it will start breaking. That's why the strain is increasing. There is no load increase. See, there is no loading for the same load. Once it reaches the flexural strength, for steel it will be 100, about 100 plus 100, 200. I put not to scale, 100 plus. Once it's reached the ultimate strength of the steel, it will, for no loading, right, or even you load, no load or increase the load, no point you increase the load after reaching ultimate strength, it will start breaking. You cannot load anymore. So strain is increasing in this direction, right? That is why the curve is going down. For no load, increase in this direction, the strain is increasing, or deformation of breaking is taking place. So you should stop loading the member until this point. So this is how the tensile strength of the member is determined. Tensile strength or flexural strength, all are same. Flexural point or flexural strength, all are same. Okay, this is how X, flexural strength of the member is determined. Any question here? Do you understand anything about this stress strain graph? Now I'm going to give you the regions for which it is working in a pictorial view. I'm not going to draw because it will be very difficult to draw the shading area. Any question in this drawing? The points achieved. Now we are going to understand the different regions under this curve. That is what important for engineers. No question. So if you want to draw the diagram, it's so interesting if I draw it. At this point, the structure will be like this. Wait, I have a space here. One moment, I'll show you here. The member, the originally it is like this, right? Due to loading, initially there was a length extension at the bottom, right? Later on, it will show in a body itself. In the body itself, the body itself start. Okay, like this. Okay, initially there was a elongation in the bottom section, right? But you keep on loading, right? Keep on loading. This may be referring to this. Okay, at this point the material start yielding at the middle. The cross section of the member will get reduced at one point. Once it reaches E, it will break. This is the second phenomenon. At D, you can see the member behavior like this, the drawing. Okay, now let me take the diagrams for different stresses, different regions. Any question here? I'm going to close this slide. Any question? Different limits are clear to you? Only 3 points are important to you for your understanding: yielding strength, ultimate strength, breaking point or breaking strength. There is no strength. Breaking point I call breaking point. Okay, these 3 points are important, and this elastic region is important for designing certain members. But the significant points over a stress strain graph is yielding point, ultimate point, and then breaking point. Any quick question? Are you following?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll close this one. I open the diagrams for you to understand different regions in. That one I can use it like this. One moment, I open the file for you. Where is the file? Okay. I will write down the different behavior of the member here. It will be, there are four regions we can identify here. Resilience region, ductility region, okay, region or measurement we can make. How ductile this material is, how resilient this material is, how tough this material is. Are you hearing me? One moment, audio is on. Yeah. How ductile this material is, and also what is the yielding point, when it will start deforming, okay, when it will start deforming. Lastly, when is the point at which it will reach the ultimate strength, and then breaking point we don't bother, we stop at the test until ductile, I mean the one once you reach the ultimate stress. Okay, you can do the similar test for any different new material, you know. You have seen many journals, many researchers, many FYPs. They have taken different materials or combination of materials, conducted this test for its tensile strength, finding its tensile strength, and then they come out with interesting results. Then they say, they claim that this structural strength of my new material, innovative material, so on so, and they are having different views and different products likely. Okay, let me take the regions for you. You can also do such as having taken an innovative material or mixing of materials, polymer, a new polymer. If you want to test how much is the tensile strength of this member, you can use this tensile test using a universal testing machine. The machine is called universal testing machine. The animations are interesting. If I have time, I will show you. Otherwise, I will. Yeah, I can quickly show professor's video. He was showing that day. One moment, I take that animation for you. Wait, I take the animation. What I can see. Yeah, it's there. I keep saying you load the material, it will get elongated, it will get start failing. And now see. Refills. One moment. We are now seeing only the normal strain. We don't go for shear strain yet because I'm doing the longitudinal deformation, right? I remember that. Next, we will see the shearing strain. It is better to draw before it takes longer for me to complete the sketch. But it doesn't look, if I give a ready-made picture, you will not understand, appreciate how this is moving on. Okay, got it. The other term for, I repeat, the other term for doing this tensile strength is called flexural. The word flexural, we have also machines in our lab for testing flexural strength of the member. Later, I will go, I do one class for demonstration, lab demonstration. Although you don't have any, what do you call, laboratory class, I will organize for demonstration class. But let me give some theory first, otherwise I would have taken you to the laboratory to see how the flexural strength test is made in, I mean, done in the laboratories. The same is in a large scale conducted at companies, the same principle. Okay, there is no much difference variation. I'm sure you can understand this. From our lab we have system, compressive strength, shear strength, all types of strength of materials can be tested in our lab. We give some theory first, then we move on to learning about how it is conducted at the laboratories. Okay, I'll do this just for you. Now we are going to learn about 5 properties. One, two, three, four, five, 6 properties. I repeat once again. Number 1 is resilience area in the stress strain curve. That is, open the file. Measure of ability of the material to deformation in the elastic region. Ductility measure in the measure of the ability of the material to behave or show the response of bear the load in plastic region. And toughness, same goes to the whole process of yielding until it fracture. Yield strength is a strength at which it will start showing its plastic behavior, start failing. Ultimate strength is a strength at which the tensile strength is achieved. Breaking point is the failure, which nobody likes it. Okay, let me show the video first, then I go for. Where is that? So, okay, let me share it. Your video is very slow. Why I cannot share? So far, you cannot hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear me? Everybody, can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
What is happening? Can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Okay. You please check this video for animation to show how the member is failing due to tensile loading. You can put the voice also. End of the loading, it will break. Okay. Okay, you got it, how the animation is taking place. Let's understand the regions there. What are the regions that we can identify from there? Okay, these are the things. These are things I keep saying. There's a lot interesting thing that I brought from there. Okay, I start from here. Okay. So all of you know that the materials can be defined as ductile material or brittle material. Why we say ductile material? They can be elongated to some extent. Means what? Their compression and tension, compressive strength and tension strength, meaning elongation. For a given loading, it will get elongated. For a given loading, it will get shortened. They are almost similar behavior in the case of tension, ductile members. But brittle members, the compression and tension will be different. Compressive strength will be more. Say for example, concrete, brittle material, slate, right? Brick, they are all brittle. Once you apply a compressive stress, it cannot bear it. It will break immediately. It cannot bear the tensile strength. It cannot be elongated. Brittle material cannot be elongated, cannot be shortened, but it will get broken for a given loading. But it can bear a compressive strength. To some extent, it can be compressed, but it cannot be elongated. In this case, it can be elongated, but cannot be compressed. Okay. I'm so sorry. Ductile material, both can be done to some extent. It can withstand both strength, both stress, compressive stress and tensile stress. Brittle material cannot withstand tensile stress. Elongation is not possible in brittle material. Extension of the material is not possible. It cannot bear the load which tend to extend the material in brittle material. Come on. Next diagram is interesting one here to show the different behavior of different material. You see here, when you plot and the plot, this graph is very interesting to understand the strength of different materials. The strength or Newton per mm square is given in this direction, megapascals. Different materials are plotted in this direction. For the strength of LDPE, some kind of polymer, is up to 50. This is 10, 100 means 20, 30, 40, like that you can divide into different section until it reaches the 10. It's a logarithmic scale they plotted, so you will have this type of denomination. You need to divide yourself. 10 to 100 means 10 denomination you can put here. And then polypropylene up to 50, say 50 megapascals, 50 into 10 power 3, 10 power 6 Newton per meter square it can bear. Copper, a little bit higher, about 80 megapascals. Aluminium, about how much? Anybody? I just want to see whether you are working or not. Aluminium can go ranging, it's a ranging because of the material mixing. It may be ranging from 100 to up to, anybody who is looking at the slide? Anyone? Aluminium can go up to
1000.
800 megapascals. 1000 not reach here. The bar stops here, right? about 800 megapascals. Mild steel 200, exactly at 200. 200 megapascal is a mild steel strength. And then carbon can go up to, carbon steels, a mix of carbon steels can go up to 1000 plus. Above all, diamond and graphene. You want to build a stronger, the strongest expensive materials are diamond and graphene. Diamond is the strongest material. It can cut and it can be used for the customizing tool or cutting tool, right? Diamond goes up to above, let it be 100,000 trillion pascals, mega, not mega, trillion, trillion we will use for liquids, for solids, tetra pascals. Okay, 100 tetra pascals will be the value for diamond almost. Above all is the graphene. Graphene is the highest strength that one can reach in the material field. Okay, come on, next one is this one. You have here, just now I told you, okay, you will not appreciate now. Let me show this part first. Here. Our ductile material, just now I show you in my drawing. I'm sorry for poor drawing. The behavior we studied one by one, step by step, how they behave from 0 to A to B, C and D until it failed or broken. This is the ultimate strength, about to, still it's bearing the load, right? The breaking point is reached or ultimate load is reached, after which it will break. This thing is shown by, nicely represented by this diagram. It's very clean and explanatory diagram. See here, this area 0 to B, almost B you can take because it's that's a transition region between elastic to plastic. So I take it as A 0 to B. 0 to B is, let me draw and show you. 0 to B, 0 to B is the elastic region. Yield is put as a strength, yield itself under C. Seat until C is bearable, never started any kind of crack or deformation at all, because it is still like this. Deformation is in this region, right? Deformation is very gradual or in proportion. As long as the loading is increased, the deformation is gradual, right? At one point, actually in my, according to my drawing, it is almost constant, right? It is the load is almost constant, right? So it is not that much significant to show it is yielding really started. So at this point, until this is point is called elastic limit or elastoplastic limit, right? Resilience, that shows the resilience of the body. Resilience is the material behavior or ability of the material to bear the load, right? Load up to the yielding point. This is what important for our safe design. If you want to run for a long duration and for any elastic behavior, you can use this one. Starting from this is yielding point until reaching point D, which is ultimate strength. So you can design the member up to ultimate strength. And then this is the fracture point, which is E, right? Fracture point. Now the area under this curve, area means what? Half times base into this much strain times the stress. If you multiply these factors, so if you by manually you calculate area under the curve, 1 by 2 times, say for example 20% or 0.2 strain. 0.2 is my strain, and the yielding point is say 80 Newton per meter square. If I solve this, that is the answer for resilience of this material. Okay, answer for resilience of this material. Can you give me the answer? Half times 0.2. What is the answer? Half times 0.2. Give me the answer, please. 0.2 times 80. How much is the value? In Newton meter square, there is nothing cancelling. We are still maintaining the numbers. What is the value?
8.
8 was divided by 2, right? 8 Newton per meter square is the resilience value or resilient tensile strength of the member. That is what we found. And coming back to the next region, the area under this although it is showing like a parabolic one. If you want, you can, if you know the equation of the curve, you can derive it. But for now, you can fit the curve. There are fitting equation for in the Excel, or you can use any software to fit the equation of this line, or otherwise for now take it to be a rectangle, right? This line, this line times this line will give you the area under this will give you the complete toughness of the material, how tough they are behaving in the plastic region. You can see this as a plastic region. So plastic behavior started, above which yielding started and breaking. So the toughness of the material, or how strong it is before breaking, is given by area under this curve. And then ductility. Ductility is a measure, a strain measure, the percentage. Ductility is the total behavior from starting of the loading until breaking point, or just before the breaking point. This shows the ductility of the material, or flexural strength of the material, or tensile strength of the material. And then what else we can see? And this behavior. Compared to this is all, these are the behavior, and this light blue is the behavior of the ductile material. Behavior of the ductile material. Okay, spelling. Behavior of the ductile. You understand what is ductile? It can be elongated to some extent. It can bear some failure before it breaks. Ductile, or it can be made into rods, different rods. You can boil, you can melt it, you can welding by customizing, you can make it into different shapes. And that is the thing we understand from here. That's why we can have different shapes of the members, trusses built today. Understanding this behavior of ductile behavior of the material, it can see this region from here to here. It can be changed to any shape. This is the yielding point. This shows that the member can be changed, constructed, or made into, customized into different shapes at different angles, at different thickness, bend, straight. All these things are possible because of the ductile behavior of the member. Coming to brittle, our good old concrete and glass, slate, what else? All this material will behave like this. This is the curve. The purple color curve is the behavior shown by low toughness or brittle material. Okay, brittle. It will break. It cannot bear after this. Once it reaches the plastic limit, broken already. It has no ductility behavior or flexible. That's why it's a flexural strength of the material. There is a flexibility for mild steel, but for your brittle material, it will break here itself. The toughness is very small. Even though there is a curve here, we don't entertain. At this point, it will show a big fracture, big yielding failure. And even if you draw the curve here, there is no point. It has already started breaking. Breaking, maybe total breaking, or the major fracture has started already. So this is how we can differentiate the brittle and ductile material. Any question? I stop here. Your calculation. I also have many other things to settle. Any question at this point? Do you understand the material behavior? For the given loading? To summarize, we saw elastic, plastic, ultimate, and fracture limits of the member. Elastic is showing the resilience. Plastic showing the yielding point of the yielding started, the member started failing. Ultimate showing the complete strength of the member. That is what required for our designs and engineers' point of interest. Lastly, breaking point, where you should avoid just 1 kg, 1 kg or not kg, 1 kilo, 1 Newton. You cannot add even 1 Newton after ultimate strength is reached. Okay, any question? Shall I solve the question and post to you? You can understand the pending one. Is that okay? If not, you can ask me. I will put a different, I mean, step-by-step procedure there. Having understood what is stress, strain, you should able to apply. Okay. Shall I write down the solution step by step with the diagram? Can you go through? Because the time up already, I have another session to go. I need to complete before. Is that okay? I post to you and try to understand. And I'm going to post 3 more questions for this week. Please follow and do it. I thought of giving introduction also for that question. Anyway, we have to work along. Like when I give question, please put effort to solve. Otherwise, no point. I'm giving question time, giving time for preparing your questions and explaining the solutions. Okay, get along with us so that we are learning, we are improving every day, isn't it? I stop here. Any question you can ask me. Quick question. No question.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay. Is that okay? I post the answers. You can understand, or you want me to solve? I really cannot spare time. I have to do having another job to send it after this. Otherwise, I can continue. Okay. For now, I post it. Go through. If not clear that answer, immediately text me. Just click screenshot that particular line. I will give you the explanation. Is that okay? Okay. Any other question? Anybody? Okay, have a nice weekend. You can download those materials there for textbooks. I should not do this, but it's freely available online. No problem about the copyright. It's a old versions only. Follow the question and answers there. You do yourself first, then check with the answer. Sometimes the answers also misleading. You have to apply your knowledge and common sense to justify the answers there. There are some erroneous things, right? You follow your own procedure. Although it is there, you follow your own procedure and solve it. Check your answers later on. Okay. All should end with whatever the approach you're doing, the ultimate answer should be correct. That's it. Okay, I stop here.